Welcome to, well, we're going to call this Pixel Plays until we figure out how to brand it differently. But essentially one of the things we're going to do, in addition to the standard Pixel Plays formula, is take a game that is current and interesting and just go through about 30 minutes to an hour of it, talk about it, analyze it, show you some details from it. So, my name is James Honeycutt, and I am here with Taylor Tate. Say hello to the people, Taylor.
Hello, people.
And what we're going to be doing, essentially, is just going through a little bit of the Elite Dangerous world, showing you how the game plays. So one of the things that kind of sparked this in my brain is that most of the time when you see a trailer for a game, you see what the developer wants you to see. Most of the time when you see a video from an organization that's a review, you don't get necessarily a whole lot of detail on how the game actually plays. You get segments that are lifted from it as opposed to pretty much the actual game delivered to you. So what we're kind of trying to do with this is just show you exactly what it's like to play Elite Dangerous. So, I have loaded into a save game. I have been using this pilot for maybe 15 hours thus far. Elite Dangerous is a open world flight simulator in space. It is very open. For those, how some people got a little disoriented the first time they played an Elder Scrolls game? You know what I'm talking about, Taylor? Like the first time you played an Elder Scrolls game?
I do.
Bewildered by the scale of it?
You walk outside and you're just like, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, where am I going? What am I doing? So, this is like that in space. And one of the things about it that I find particularly interesting is that it's even less structured than that. You have these missions. You can go to the bulletin board and get a mission. Actually, I was going to the bulletin board to prove this point that 9 times out of 10 you go to the bulletin board and you get missions that you can't do. But this is the 1 time in 10 where I actually can. So when you're in a station, you have a bunch of different stuff that you can do. So you go to Starport Services here, and you've got Home, which is your ship. It's how you maintain everything. You can kick over to the news, which actually, like, some of this is legitimate. So that traffic report there is actually based on the online version of this game. This game is like functionally an MMO, and that's how many ships driven by players flew through the area in the last 24 hours. That's an actual number. And then they do stuff like this. They give you, little historical world building stuff, which we're not going to read because you can do that when you buy the game. But this is the top 5 bounties. These are actual players. You can tell because number 3 has a name like Bugnuts Bootlegger. So those are the people in the MMO version of this that can do that. Now I'm currently
Commander.
Yeah.
I want to point out. Commander Bugnuts.
Right. All of these are actually commanders because I think everybody is a commander until you reach a certain rating, and we'll go into ratings later. But so that's Home. Munitions is where you reload your weapons. I'm currently full up, no big deal. Repair is where you repair the different parts of your ship. If you don't have enough money to repair everything, you can repair it piecemeal. Bulletin board where you get missions. I just grabbed a mission a second ago, and we'll deal with that. Contacts is where you, for Pilots Federation, it's where you pay a bounty in the area. The local security office is where you collect an outstanding bounty if you've claimed one. Combat bond has to do with entering into combat fields. That's like wandering into, like, say we're playing WoW. That's like wandering into a for all intents and purposes, like a PvP area in the standard world. You know, if you get a player kill. Black market is where you can sell illegal goods. You can get illegal goods by buying them at stations that have no order in them, or by killing smugglers and picking it up, or, you know, certain other means, but those are the two big ones. The outfitting office is where you can restructure your ship. You know, it's where you buy gear. You can buy and sell gear here. I'm pretty well optimized, so we're not going to do that. Shipyard, it's where you buy ships. At this particular station, I only have 2 options, and I don't particularly want to play as a trader yet, but that will probably come up soon. You can store ships, so you know you don't have to just pick one. But so there's that. Sorry, I need to. There we go. And the commodities market is where you can buy, sell, or trade material. So the way that the commodity system works in this game, there's certain places near certain planets that have a higher supply of items. So say you're in a system that has a tremendous number of asteroid fields, you're likely to have the products that are built from those fields. And so the supply there would be higher, therefore the value would be lower. You can buy it low, take it somewhere else, sell high. And then obviously the illegal items are worth more, the special items are worth more. Actually, I don't think I see any special items on here. Those are normally demarcated by a different color. Yellow, possibly more than that. Don't see anything there. And then cartographics, that is where you can buy and sell information that you've scanned in a system. So one of the ways you can make money in this game is exploration. You go to a system that's way out there, you scan it, you can bring it back to a civilized system, you can sell it.
What kind of information would that be?
So, mostly astrological. It would be, you know,
Okay.
how many planets are in this system, how many asteroid belts are there, how many moons do those planets have, etc. And that's useful because when that information is passed around, that means that when someone warps into a system, if there's enough common knowledge, they just know there's an asteroid field there. That's useful for miners. So, yeah. What we're going to see from me predominantly, because I have not elected to go the mining route, will be bounty hunting, because that's more interesting to me. But I might warp into an asteroid belt if I can find one. So, and again, as always, Taylor, feel free to jump in and ask any questions that, you know, you feel like are appropriate.
I most certainly will.
Ship released. Engines engaged.
What we're looking at here is the interior of a large station. One of the things you'll notice about this game is that absolutely everything in this game is in your cockpit. Every interaction you have is in the cockpit. It's very immersive. Now, there's no first-person system. You can't get out of your ship and walk around on a station, but once you're in your ship, you can do a number of things. All navigation is handled from this menu. I can decide to go to any of these places. I simply select them, lock destination, and they show up. We'll get to that in a second. So, I am delivering patents to 61 Cygni, so I have to figure out where that is. And that's actually the next system over, so that's easy. So I find it on the map, lock and engage.
Cannot comply.
That's because
landing gear retracted.
Down. So as soon as I select that destination, you'll see just to the left of the radar, to the upper left, there is a smaller version of said radar. You see that little pip. You navigate towards the pip, and then once you're aligned with it, you engage
Frameshift
superfruit.
drive charging.
Depending on your power plant and depending on the quality of your frameshift drive, this charges faster or slower. Much like hyperspace in Star
4,
Wars,
3,
you
2,
engage it,
1,
jumps you
engage.
straight to the destination, but you can be pulled out of it by an interdicker. We'll probably run into that at some point in the next hour or so. It is a very common occurrence in single-player PvP. In the PvP, you can, like, I could have equipped a interdictor drive. I just happen to not, because that's not the kind of playstyle that I'm doing. You'll note whenever you warp into a system, you warp in near a sun. So, I go into transactions. I'm supposed to go to the Broglie terminal. So, I identify the Broglie terminal, lock the destination. It turns out that it was really close to the sun, so I'm going to wheel around, cut throttle. One of the things about this game that a lot of people have problems with, myself included, is the FTL system. If you look to the right of the radar, you will see a throttle, and you'll see a little blue section next to that throttle. You have to advance your throttle into that zone where in the pip goes blue, and that means that you will be accelerating or decelerating appropriately. It's a very awkward system. You don't have direct control over how fast you're going, and you can't slow down immediately. Now, you can drop totally out of frameshift drive, but it's the worst thing about the game by far, even though it is relatively realistic in terms of acceleration, deceleration with regards to light speed. It's still a real pain. And they're aware of this and they could work on it. Now, you notice, despite the fact that my throttle's in the same place, I've been accelerating and decelerating repeatedly. That's an AI thing. It's an autopilot system. I don't like it very much at all. But that's about the worst thing about the game. That right there. So this is a big old bear of a station. One of the things you'll note about this, the game is very regimented. When you warp into a system and you want to dock somewhere, you do have to identify the dock, request a dock.
Docking request granted.
If you're outside a certain range, they won't let you. If you have a very low rating with a faction, they won't let you. Note, it indicates above the radar, proceed to landing pad 31. That is because that's what I've been approved for. If I try to land anywhere else, I will get in trouble, and there will be a fine administered to me. You can sneak into a system. You can actually slide into one of these, but what you have to do is essentially line up from a long way away, accelerate. Once you've accelerated, you have to shut down your system and go dark, and that is something you can do in this game. You can completely shut down your engines, you can shut down all systems, and whatever course you're moving on.
Warning, landing gear not deployed.
You have to line yourself up perfectly. Once you make it through the entrance to that station, then you can dock at any pad, and then you just pay the whatever the bribe is to land at the pad. That is going to cost you a little bit of something, but that's the only way to smuggle illegal goods into a large station. That's not something I've tried. That might be something to try a little bit later.
Landing gear deployed. Docking
Landing
successful.
is all manual,
Engines disengaged.
by the way. You cannot land in an automated manner, but it's not terribly difficult to do so. Taylor, at this point, do you have any questions?
So yeah, you mentioned you're doing the single player stuff right now. So is it that the single player and the online world exist separately, and you can choose when to join in and join out of that,
Yes.
or how does that? Where's that division?
So whenever you're loading into the game and you click start, you have the option to start online or solo. So your progress is saved independently of both. You can move in between solo and online. And so whenever you log into online, say that the last time you logged into online was in the Alpha Centauri system. And then you didn't want to play online for a while, so the next time you logged in, you decided to play solo, and you went to Wolf 359. I'm using this example because that's exactly what I did. When I logged in back at Wolf 359, I had the option to start an online game again, and I could just do that. That's just where I was in the world. And so the main difference is that you are interacting with other players in the world, and those players can do whatever they want, whenever they want to do it. There are faction and bounty punishments for doing whatever you want to do, but there's no control. You can attack whoever you want to, whenever you want to, wherever you want to. But that's literally the difference, is when you log into the game choosing, do I want to play solo, do I want to play multiplayer?
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that it is easy and aside from obviously player interaction, is there an advantage to doing one over the other? Like, is there different kinds of gear or equipment or missions you'll have access to that you wouldn't have access to in one or the other?
So much that you have access to stuff that you wouldn't otherwise, but there are some bounties, like say I was assigned a bounty for a player that was flying one of the more advanced ships, like the Viper Mark III or the Asp Mark II or one of those. I wouldn't be in a very good position to do that by myself. However, if you jumped in the game with me and we got in a wing together, which is something you can do, we would have a much better chance at taking that bounty down. So there's definitely the advantage of playing multiplayer. You can take on higher challenges, you can advance through the game more quickly, you can gain resources more quickly. If you're mining, there's a massive advantage to playing multiplayer because the items that you use to mine, much like in a game like Eve, say, do replace your weapon turrets. So you are largely defenseless. So playing multiplayer does sort of open things up for you. There's nothing you have access to that someone else wouldn't, but it makes the game more accessible from an earlier stage. So we're going to look here. We're going to see if they have any... Yeah, okay, so this is a place where you can buy some of the nastier ships. Yeah, I can't really do any of this right now. I just dropped a lot of money upgrading the Cobra that I have, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
Now, is every ship in this game going to be single pilot, or have they talked about multiplayer ships?
Well, so the Orca, which let me see if that's at this station. I don't think it's likely to be, but we'll see if it is. As it stands right now, every ship is one pilot per ship. But the Orca's description indicates that it's a large luxury cruiser. It's got a pool. It's a crew of like 10 or 12. And that's something that they are planning on adding to the title at a later date. As it stands right now, no. But in the future, they're planning on adding that.
Okay.
But as it stands right now, it doesn't have, say, the Star Citizen level of feature with multiple ship crews, places to sit, windows, gunners, etc. That said, it does also have...
Ship released.
And this
Engines
is one
engaged.
of the things about this game that is really incredible. They have mapped the entire known universe. And not, I say universe, I should say galaxy specifically. Every system in the galaxy that we know about is in
Landing
this
gear retracted.
game. It is present in this game and available to explore. And that is amazingly cool. I'm gonna look at that. So I need to go to...
Because you did talk about how you were actually working your way towards our solar system.
I was, and I actually got one system away and then wasn't able to get into Sol because I don't have the system permit. Yeah.
And explain to us, what is a system permit?
It's permission to enter a system, and I don't have it.
How do you get it?
I have
Why?
no idea, and I haven't Googled it because I'd like to find out through playing the game. One of the things that sort of my philosophy is with a lot of games, I don't want to ruin the mystery that they hold. And so, like, I didn't want to know how big the map was in Skyrim when I started playing it, etc., etc. So, it looks like I'm not going to be able to warp to this without going somewhere else first. That's annoying. So we're just going to go to a nav beacon
Frame
first.
shift drive charging.
But so, I have yet to see that.
4,
I didn't
3,
have a system permit
2, 1.
for
Engage.
Alpha Centauri until I reached a station near it and got a quest off the bulletin board to go to Alpha Centauri. So what I'm going to try and do is stay in systems in and around Sol and try to get something where I'm told to, take an item to Sol. So what I'm doing right now is sort of the bread and butter of bounty hunting. I'm just kicking towards the nav beacon. The nav beacon is the point where everything warps into the system. And that's a point very near the sun. And I'm going to pause for a second because I'm actually going to peel off and hit up this unidentified signal source. But so you warp to the nav beacon, and you drop in, and you just wait for something that has a bounty, and then you engage it. So most of what you do in this game, because it's very freeform, is either, if you're bounty hunting, hanging out in a nav beacon, or going to a signal source and exploring it. Sometimes it's something as simple as a trader who wants to trade a certain amount of information. It's a ship that's disabled that you can help, or it's an ambush. It's a group of pirates waiting for someone to, to drop in on you. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this because this is like a random encounter in like a tabletop roleplay. So I drop out, and there's a hauler and an eagle, and we're gonna see. He looks like he's burning away. We're gonna see. I'm gonna get close in and scan him. It looks like his shields are hurt a little bit, so maybe that guy might be attacking him. I'm gonna find that out.
And what makes you say that his shields are hurting a little bit?
So when I looked at, you see the ship on the left of the radar. It's got 2 red circles around it. That means that it's damaged a little bit. So this guy isn't going to fire on me until I fire on him. He's deployed his hardpoints though, so that's not a great sign. So note that I've cut my throttle back into that blue area. I've done that because when your throttle is in that area, you're at your most maneuverable. I'm going to go ahead and open fire on this guy. Yep, he's angry. I may have just picked a fight I can't win, but we're going to see. This is a higher class of ship than mine by a little bit.
Under attack.
He got a couple of hits in, but not many. And cut that throttle back just a little bit to stay in the blue zone for maneuverability. So I'm trying to
now this game.
Go ahead.
This game, unlike Star Citizen, does not have any kind of like PCS roll. Any kind of like PCS roll system where you could spin your ship, or is that just something you're not utilizing?
No, I mean I could. You're talking about like decoupled mode. I don't.
Yeah.
No, it does not as of yet. And that's one of the great weak points in the comparison of the two, is that this does not have a legitimate physics system behind it. It handles very much like X-Wing or TIE Fighter did. Which is not
a bad thing.
It's not. No, it's not bad. It's just not. There's something a little less satisfying about your ability to do crazy shit. Oh, that was not far from a ram on his part. This is going to be really tough unless I get some support in the way of police figures. Because this is a more maneuverable ship. I'm really worried that I'm actually going to run out of ammo before this combat encounter ends. Yeah, I hate that reload on this thing. I need to get a better set of guns on this guy. He's smoking a little bit though, he's hurt. So
Are there critical points of failure on a ship, like in Star Citizen, where you can damage thrusters and all that?
Absolutely you can. There are smaller areas on the ship that you can identify and target. Very rarely do you get to do it in the middle of a furball like this, but you can do it. Yeah, there we go.
Target destroyed.
That was a tiny bounty. Good lord. But so, yes, there absolutely were. So actually, it looks like we're gonna get another commentator in on this. Okay, so yes, so that was a relatively low-key combat. That wasn't anything terribly special, but it did sort of show the ins and outs of that. So we're going to Kruger 60.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
And just so you know, JJ, we are currently live. So,
Frameshift drive charging.
what we're doing right now is we're providing sort of like an explanation of Elite Dangerous, how it works, etc. It's broadcasting live on Twitch. If you want to provide any observations, you could also probably watch the Steam.
Ready to engage.
But so essentially, what we just saw right there was bounty hunting in Elite. It's relatively simple. You find a nav beacon or a signal source, you warp in, you see if anyone's being attacked, you see if anyone has a bounty, and then you just attack that party.
Sounds good.
Frameshift drive
How would
charging.
you say the Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen compare?
So, I mean, obviously, like, that's going to be a comparison that people are going to make a lot
4,
on a regular
3,
basis.
2, 1,
I would say
engage.
And this is something that actually we were talking about a second ago. I would say that Star Citizen's physics are much better. Star Citizen handles the way that spaceships would, and the only sort of like aspect of that as it stands right now is how those ships will handle in a what needs to go to the Kepler Gateway is how those ships will handle in atmosphere or inside a gravity well. But in every other way, Star Citizen handles it in an incredibly realistic, well-realized manner. Elite Dangerous handles much more like the X-Wing games or, you know, Wing Commander, etc. And so the physics are slightly inferior, but the big difference is that, as it stands right now, Star Citizen is a online dogfighting multiplayer title, and that's it.
Yeah.
And Elite is a representation of the entire known galaxy, with a ton of different gameplay elements. So you can mine, you can haul, you can bounty hunt, you can dogfight, you can engage in wars. Elite Dangerous is a finished game. And as a consequence, like, as of right now, if someone were going to ask me which one to buy, I'd tell them to buy Elite. Because it's a game, and it's done. I think Star Citizen will probably be a more satisfying title in the long run, but we have no idea how long it will take before it gets to that point. So there are, oddly enough though, there are already way more flyable ships in Star Citizen than there are in Elite. In Elite I think they're like 8, 9, or maybe 10, if you don't include the sort of individual models. And then there's also this sort of like, there's the intangible factor. Elite lets you explore our galaxy. Like, it lets you go to places you want to go, places you've heard of, and just see what they're like. And that's like, it's a really, really, really cool thing to be able to do that. So, this is a really good example of that FTL system being a little bit broken. So warping in between systems, incredibly fast. It's about a 4-second countdown and then you're somewhere else. But in this, you have this weird thing where you're in between, where you see this distance and you see this second counter that may or may not be measuring the actual amount of time until you get to a system because of the speed that you're going. I spent, and I know that this is probably just like a worst case scenario, but I did spend 18 minutes flying in between a sun and a station. And I was literally just in a ship, pointed somewhere, for 18 minutes. Just sitting there, not doing anything. And that's not a great design decision. That is something they definitely need to work on.
And you mentioned the other ships. You are still flying one of the starter ones.
Yes.
How much time would a player have to put in before they could get a new ship, based on just how much they can earn?
So I've spent about 8 to 10 hours in this game. That's not an exact number, and I'm not totally solid on it, but the amount that I've earned through bounty hunting in that span of time would have allowed me to buy a hauler, which is a step up. It's a mercantile ship. And so I would already be able to buy one of the other ones. Here's a vote. Do I mess with an unidentified signal source? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Alright, we're going to haul back around and we're going to see whatever that was. There might be another bounty. So I could have already bought the second ship. I could not have bought anything else though. So we're talking about a 10-hour input for the next ship up, and that next ship up isn't in the same class. This is a dogfighter, that is not. So you're already seeing the other problem with the FTL. So I snapped on that course. I need to slow down. I couldn't have slowed down by actually slowing down, so what I needed to do was loop around, cut the throttle, point myself back at it, and then get back up to speed. The in-system FTL is just a pain in the ass to deal with. So we'll be there whenever. It's said 7 seconds for the last 5 seconds. That's... They really...
And are there upgradable or interchangeable drives for the fast and light engine system?
Yes, I've actually got a step. Let me see which one I currently have on here. I actually have a B class, which is one. It's the second best that I could equip on this ship. So what that essentially means, you accelerate faster, you decelerate faster, you have a higher top end. So all of that is definitely the case. And so everything that I'm talking about right now, I'm basically like a level 7 in WoW. That's what's happening right now.
Okay.
So any bitching that I'm doing would probably be different in the long run. This looks like this looks like an ambush attack on a hauler. He's mostly harmless. His shields are a little bit damaged. He's wanted, actually. So maybe this is not as simple as that. We're going to see what those are before I pull the hardpoints out and engage. Yep, he's clean, so we're gonna go after the hauler because he has a bounty. So once I get a little closer to him, I'm gonna equalize power. Where are you going, son? Oh, this thing is so slow. I'm gonna slam into it. I can almost guarantee you I'm about to bounce off its ass. Yeah, he's already in trouble. So what you're looking at right now, the hauler, is actually that next ship that I could have afforded.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a little bit of a pet peeve about the sort of control system. So when you've got the ship, there we go. That was
Target destroyed.
stupidly easy. To Kepler Gateway. Let's reset that destination. Kepler Gateway.
Cannot comply.
Shut up.
Frameshift drive charging.
There we go. So one of the things I don't like
4, 3,
about this
2,
system is
1. Engage.
when you have the ship in the throttle sweet spot, which is that little blue spot on the throttle, you maneuver better. And that's fine, but it really changes the way that the stick feels. So one of the most important things about a flight simulator is, like, I know if I move the stick this much, it will turn this much. And so you run into this recurring issue where at certain velocities, you'll pull the stick instinctually a certain amount, and it'll move a certain amount. But then at a different velocity, it won't move like that. So you're constantly having to, like, rework in your head how much you need to move, and it doesn't make for really great instinctual dogfighting. So what you end up doing is you always set the throttle to the same amount during a dogfight, and that kind of limits you a little bit tactically. So that's another concern. And that is a concern that is born out of the fact that, like, Star Citizen doesn't do that, and it doesn't do that way. And so, like, you get really used to being able to be Twitch as shit, and you just can't. I don't feel like you can be Twitch in this game. Not to the same degree. So that right there, by the way, that's a comet that just flew right past the cockpit.
How do you like the HUD systems for I mean, obviously in Star Citizen it's different per ship, and in this you only have this one ship. How would you compare the two of them? Things you like about them, things you don't like. How's the immersion on it? That kind of explanation.
So, I mean, one of the things that I think this game does phenomenally well is present you with, like, one specific experience all the time. And the HUD that you're looking at is the kind of HUD that you would really be looking at if you were in a ship, and that's all you deal with. And I think on that level, this game crushes immersion.
Docking request granted.
As you can see, like, I just requested docking by hitting a button. This is me. I'm looking around my cockpit right now. That's awesome. Like, that is something that this game does better than 95% of games in the world. It just crushes that. That said, I don't necessarily like how busy this HUD is. I think it's very, like, it is very much in my way for a dogfighter. I don't want things to be this present. I want to be able to shift the HUD out further to the corners of the screen, and I'm not sure that's something that, yeah, I guess it does translate to the stream. This HUD could be less in the way. But there's kind of like a win-loss element there, because in Star Citizen, like sometimes when I've got, oh no, I'm a little too close to that to make that turn. In Star Citizen, sometimes I will target an enemy and there will be an indicator, a little arrow indicator, and I won't be able to find it because it's so subtle and small. So I think I like aspects of both.
Scan detected.
I think this game does a much better job with like a realistic, persistent world UI design. But I think Star Citizens looks better and is further out of the way.
Okay.
No, I'm trying for the life of me to figure out the point of rotation on this goddamn thing so I can find the entry point. This is an issue with these stations. It is a gigantic geometric object, and there's no indication where I'm supposed to go in from any sort of distance.
That's what you get for trying to dock with the Borg D20 or D20?
This is,
yeah.
Well, I don't think it's a D20, but you're not far wrong. I'm just gonna say
a Borg dragon, a D&D dice. That's what you get for trying to dock with it.
What? How is this fucking rotating?
Is there a third-person camera on this game?
No. Never,
Okay.
under any circumstance. You are not allowed to get out of your ship. You're not allowed to look out of your ship. You are stuck in this motherfucking ship the whole game. And that's actually a lot of what I love about the game. It's like they don't let you break immersion. You don't have an opportunity to do that. So it's rotating that way, which means, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna book away from this thing for a minute and see if I can get a better perspective on it. I still have 6.5 minutes before I land. I thought that landing timer permission thing was like a weird idea until the first time I tried to land in one of these. And then I was like, oh wait, no, I understand, because no one knows where the fucking entrance is, you douchebag. So that's rotating around that axis, which means the entrance is on that side. Alright, cool. One of the neat, fun, sort of thoughtful things about this game is that every station that has any sort of gravity like rotates around itself, and you have the option to turn off your ship's automatic ability to make up for that. And trying to land while matching a rotation is mind-numbingly complicated. It's a really cool idea, but it is super complicated. I have found the entrance. So, and speaking to that, one of the things that you'll notice is like I'm having to match the rotation of this little entry point, but as soon as I get inside, I won't have to do that anymore because everything will pair up. Alright, hold on, 31. Where is 31? Okay, guys. Guys, where's landing pad 31?
Yeah, hopefully it's that one.
No. God, that was close. Why would 31 be next to the entrance? That seems silly. Oh god. Hey guys, we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. Okay, we're gonna pretend that I didn't do that.
I'm watching the delayed.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
You hit that.
I did hit that. See, I think the
Warning,
throttle
landing
in this
gear
game,
not deployed.
like, there's just something about it because the way that it handles a throttle is that 50% is neutral, and anything below 50%
Landing
is
gear
reverse.
deployed. Docking
So,
successful.
when you get used to a
Engines
title
disengaged.
where 0 is 0, and you switch to this, like, everything that you do is much more, like, magnified and nuts. So, refuel, reload. Good lord. This is like 3 missions in a row where I can actually, like, take them. Alright, so this is an example of the loadout menu. You'll note that I've upgraded almost everything that I can. Anything that's a C or below is because there isn't a better version of it immediately available. Actually, I'm going to check on that because this station has a lot more stuff than the last one did. It's a basic discovery scanner. See if I can buy a better version of that. No, can't buy a better.
And this might be something you don't know, but is stock at a station in terms of what they have to sell to players, is that dependent upon, at least in the online version, what players are ferrying back and forth from stations?
It seems to be more related to the relative wealth of an area, what it's connected to in terms of trade. And I'm under the impression that the stock is the same in solo and multiplayer, but the stock does also change on a semi-regular basis, so there's a very good possibility that that stock has something to do with how multiplayer is handled. God, that is expensive.
That'd be a neat way to really kind of encourage and have a more interactive element to player mercantile actions.
There is a massive multiplayer community for this game. One of the only reasons I don't play it online on a regular basis is because there's not a docking queue. So
So it's just like free for all.
Well, yeah, and what that means is that you've got to sit outside a station and then continually spam, like, docking permission. And that is a huge pain in the ass. It's terrible. It's so annoying. So that's okay, so that would buff shields.
Does that encourage more people to try, like, the going in blind part and just, like, slipping in to steal docks?
But one of the things that you run into with that is that you piss off the people that are in and around you, and that makes them more likely to attack you when you undock.
Very true.
Yeah, so I wouldn't, what it really does to the vast majority of people that, like, play the game on a regular basis is make them play solo. They need to build docking queues so that people get to dock in the order they request to dock. Alright, so we're gonna do...
Ship released. Engines engaged.
another bit of bounty hunting before we leave this system. I think this just shipped it. Okay, that just left. That's not coming in.
Cannot comply.
Go ahead. And
Landing gear retracted.
So you'll note that I can't drop into the FTL drive until I've exceeded a certain distance from the station. That is because there is a mass shadow that is close to me. If you're in FTL and you pass too close to a planet, you just get yanked out of it. It's worse near a sun, but it's very bad near any large mass planet. It yanks you out of FTL and it does a tremendous amount of damage to your ship.
Frameshift drive charging.
So you can only FTL outside of a certain distance to something. I've yet to find out whether or not you can collide with another player or
4,
enemy
3,
figure in
2,
FTL.
1. Engage.
But I think the odds on that would be super long.
Yeah, I mean, even in reality, the chances that would be small because there would have to be so many things that have to go wrong or right, depending on how you want to view it, for that to happen.
Okay, so those are patents.
So James, what do you think is the reason for the comeback for space games?
Okay, Borman. So I would say that first and foremost, the people that made them initially have reached a certain level, either in terms of hierarchy or finance in the industry, that they can push for them again. I would say that the rise of crowdfunding has a lot to do with it, especially considering the fact that 2 of the 3 that we're excited about come from crowdfunding. Elite Dangerous was crowdfunded. Star Citizen is the largest crowdfunded project of any kind in the history of crowdfunding. And Valkyrie was not crowdfunded, and that's the third that is the exception. But I also think it has to do with a resurgence of PC as a platform of choice. And then finally, I would say the advent of virtual reality probably has a little bit to do with it. There are very few situations in which VR makes sense the way that it does in a flight sim. In a first-person shooter, I think there's something that you're missing by not standing up and moving around that VR presents you, but in a flight sim, like, you'd be sitting in a chair holding a stick. So I think it is the perfect storm of those 3 things. The rise of the original developers into positions of massive authority, the resurgence of PC, and then the resurgence of VR. And then also the fact that, like, no one's made a good one in forever, and people just miss what they don't have. Okay, so we're going to disengage here, and I'm going to kick back to the nav point after this and see if we can do one more example of bounty hunting.
I really like how the HUD interacts with the game, or like the
docking request
ship when you
granted.
move.
It's just really clean. I think my favorite thing about it is that everything is really immersive. Everything is really simple to look over. You have control over everything you want to. I'm going to turn
Silent running.
I just turned on silent running.
Shields offline.
And that's the situation where you have no shields. You're not heating your cockpit, etc. Nothing can really see you. And that's just an option.
Does heating your cockpit matter?
Yes, you'll freeze to death. It's space. It's cold.
Well, yeah, but I was curious if they
Yeah.
went to that level.
They did go to that level, yeah. I do actually need to turn that
Thermal
off
signature restored.
so that I can dock again.
Docking request granted.
Oh, now I have to go to landing pad 1. So you'll know when you go into silent running, you shut your shields down, and so when you turn your shields back on, they have to recharge before you can use them again. That's a punitive measure to keep you from doing it whenever you want to.
Yeah, it's not a light switch, it's like a capacitor.
Where's that pad? Where's that pad? Where's that pad? There's that pad.
Warning, landing gear not deployed. Shields online.
Back a little bit. Cut you over a little bit. Here.
Can you choose the voice of the AI for your ship?
Landing gear
That
deployed.
Voice
Docking
has,
successful. Engines disengaged.
a direct correlation to which ship you're flying and who makes it.
Ah, okay.
So you
I
sort
figured a la Titanfall, you could have different personalities
Right.
almost.
you it all comes down to who makes it. But that's something that does change under those circumstances. So there we go. Thanks, Bounty. Holler for, 13, I can't do that. Can't pull any of those because they don't trust me. Can't. Yeah, I don't have any cartographic information I can sell. So I'm gonna go do a little bit of bounty hunting real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. Something I don't absolutely love about the design philosophy.
Ship released. Engines
Every
engaged.
time you dock and want to relaunch, they turn your ship around. They
Landing gear
turn your ship
retracted.
around, and I don't understand that. Like we're in space. I don't think the direction really matters that much.
Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
So we don't lose it. So while we're in this interminable period of FTL, do you guys have any final questions?
Just maybe talk a little bit more about what your experience with the PvP has been, or the online world, what you've done in that.
Okay.
Any kind of interesting stories, stuff that would, like, kind of like with EVE, there's all those wonderful stories that make people want to play it. What are some online experiences that would make someone want to play Elite Dangerous?
Well, I mean, I would say first and foremost, 90% of the PvP interactions in this game are actually in-system chat when you're waiting to dock on a station, because that's most of what you're doing in PvP, and that's a real pain. But you do end up interacting with the community in you're talking to these people because you're all in this together. You're just waiting to fucking dock because I've got a mission I want to turn in. And people are just friendlier in this game than you see them in most of them. Like a lot of the wings that I've been invited to in this game, and wings are like a squadron, were because I was waiting to dock at a station. I was like, I've got a fucking quest to turn in. Could you guys please just look? Can we just can we draw straws? Can we please do this? And then you get to talking with them, and they're like, do you want to squat up and just go bounty hunt stuff? And you're like, I mean, yeah, because I'm not gonna dock at the station for another like 12 hours. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And so, but that said, the community is really welcoming. One of the things that I haven't run into personally, but I know about because there's a lot of lore surrounding it, is like there are a lot of people who are like exploring to like the center of the galaxy or like the far reaches of the galaxy. There are a lot of massive squadrons that just like grab a system and say like, this is my system, we're going to defend it, and they police it. There are tons of pirates. In this, like, this is a game that has something for pretty much anybody that likes playing online multiplayer. But the thing is, it is like insanely freeform, and you do have to make your experience. So you can't just like log on and like get match made into a party and like hope that makes your day. You have to find people to play with, and if you can't, like, if you don't specifically go out looking for people to play with, you're gonna have a really bad time. Unless you really like the solar multiplayer experience, like, which, like, I don't mind that. Like, I've played, obviously we talked about this, but like, I've played a lot of like solo stuff in EVE. That doesn't bug me that much. But if you want to play multiplayer, you need to find it. Like, you need to go on, like, Reddit or the forum boards from Frontier, and you need to find people to play with. And if you do that, I mean, I think you will probably have a lot of fun with the multiplayer. I just don't do a whole lot of that because I find this game to be really compelling just as like a personal experience. He's deployed weapons. No one here has a bounty, but he's deployed. What is happening right now?
I've got a question for you.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
If someone were to just go out the next day, like tomorrow, and buy this game, what are 3 tips you wish you knew before starting?
Frameshift drive charging.
Don't assume that the game is going to hold your hand, because it won't. 90% of the experience is just in exploring the environment around you. The bulletin board, which is the like mission system, really doesn't give you enough in the way of like world to explore, or B,
4,
compensate you
3,
enough
2, 1,
for your
engage.
time. So don't just go, just play the game. Like, fly around the universe, try to find anomalies or like signal sources and drop into those, because that's most of the game. I think the second one would be, if you're planning on playing it online, find people to play with ahead of time and pick someone that's been playing the game for a while. Don't just start playing the game. Play the game with people if you're planning on playing multiplayer. And then the third is just don't get discouraged when you get killed a lot, because you're gonna die a lot. I mean, I've been playing the game, you know, at this point maybe somewhere between 9 and 11 hours. I don't really have a good idea, but I've lost 8 ships already. Like, you're gonna die, and that's okay. And so, like, right now, if we look at this system, so balance 24,000 credits, rebuy cost 11,000. Just make sure that your balance is above your rebuy cost, and then just play the damn game. Just play the game. Go out, get killed. It's okay, because as long as you have more money than your rebuy cost, when you log back in, you'll have the exact same ship. So don't be afraid to get killed. Just go get in a dogfight. Just don't fight anything that says Mark III or higher until you've been playing the game long enough to know that you shouldn't be doing that. Cool. So we're gonna drop out here, and hopefully this will be a nice climactic experience. It's not. It's gonna be one of those traders. It's like, I'd like to buy some alcohol.
Space alcohol.
Those do actually exist in this game. It is. It's a hauler, and I'm gonna fly close to him, and he's gonna tell me what he wants to buy. Nope, he's wanted. All right, never mind. I'm gonna eat this motherfucker alive. Oh, I like this. He's all soft and shit.
Have you seen any of the names repeat yet?
No.
I always think it's fun in games, and they're like, "You'll never meet the same character ever," and it's like you get the same model and essentially the same name, like
Scan detected.
20 minutes later, and you're like, "No."
Yeah, I did.
But his name is different.
Oh god, the reload.
Target shields offline.
See, I almost feel bad about this though. It's just this is like shooting like a 18-wheeler. Like one of the great things about this fight though is you can definitely see the detail that they put into the RCS thrusters. God damn the reloads. I better get a line on him before his shields come back up. I didn't.
What was that you were saying about
Friendship
being
charge
easy and you felt bad
Well,
for it?
no,
and
I
all
mean,
that?
it is going to be easy in comparison. I've actually had a dogfight that took about like 20 minutes in this game, but there we go. Reload.
Target shields online.
Yeah, it reloaded literally right when his shields.
Target shields offline.
But now they're down again. God damn it, he worked out. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Alright. He dropped all his gear though.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it is. Okay, we can start dealing with the, what is this? Cargo scoop is home?
Cargo scoop deployed.
Oh.
Cargo scoop retracted.
What do I have in the way of cargo? Oh, I just don't have any cargo. Yeah, there we go. Alright, that sucks. Where'd that FSD go? High energy FSD wake. Yeah, we're gonna get close on that. We're gonna see if I can scan it and chase him.
So that's interesting. Is that also in the online version? You can actually chase down players if they run?
You sure can. But the problem,
Silent running.
who turned on silent
Shields
running?
offline.
Oh, no, something's mapped to a joystick button I don't know about.
Thermal signature restored.
Oh, let me get back in on that thing. It's far away. Discovery. Oh, I've got the wrong scanner equipped. No! No! Alright, he escaped. Boo. So you're back to 1. You back to 1.
Shields online.
Boo. Alright, cool.
Cannot comply. Frameshift drive charging.
That makes me so sad. Not only could I not pick up anything that he drops, I can't track it.
4,
Boo.
3, 2, 1. Engage.
We're gonna cut back in on that nav beacon. See if we can pick up another bounty there. That's another unidentified signal source. And again, this is really the bread and butter of the game, is just navigating in between points and then finding something to pay attention to, dropping out on it, seeing what it is. Be in ambush. I dare you, be in ambush. So one of the other things to note, if you look to the left here, unidentified signal source alignment, the distance, the blue bar, the speed, the blue bar, you have to wait until the yellow bar moves into those. Again, another example of how incredibly infuriating this FTL system is. It doesn't need to take this long. They really need to clean it up. I don't mind the system, I just think they need to make it accelerate faster, decelerate faster, climb faster. They need to clean it up so that you're spending less time moving in between spaces and then more time playing the game. Oh, that's a Cobra 3. That's going to be bad. So he's clean. Sidewinder is... Sidewinder has a bounty. It's a small bounty, but I'll take it. Good. No, that is an amazing time to reload. Right then. That was when I needed you to reload. Right when I was lining up on the motherfucker.
Scan detected.
Come on now. Come on, come on. Peel out. Straight line. I'd really appreciate it if that other guy would help me out. That'd be nice. Oh, this is gonna be bad.
Under attack.
Yeah, yes, I am AI. Well done. Yeah, so I have the feeling this is going to be a little bit more like the standard dogfights in this game. Well, shields are pretty brutalized.
Target shields offline.
There we go. Come on now. Come on now. Reload, 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 reload. Oh my god. You take like 12 years to reload. Oh. Now, like, okay. Okay. So, Ombre is finally pooping at him now.
Target shields online.
God damn it. That is so much of this game, is like taking the shield down, getting like 3 rounds on target, and then it evades you until its shields come back up. No.
Target shields offline.
It is such a straight line. Thank you for that straight line. Oh god, yeah, no. No, this is also a good time to reload. That's good.
Now, what determined if the other AI that's in the system there engaged with him or not?
So, presumably what happened, this target was attacking that target. So presumably what happened is the other AI waited until its shields came back up and then decided to re-engage. Yeah, this guy, yeah, okay, this guy's about to go down.
Target shields online.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. That was perfectly timed.
Target shields offline.
There we go. So yeah, this thing is about to get smoked, because I think there are now 3 of us in the system. Come on, come on. So one of the things about this game that I've noticed in particular, yeah, there we go.
Target destroyed.
It drives me crazy. Is that the ships just are not maneuverable. Like, they're so sloppy. But that probably comes from having a low-end ship.
Cannot comply.
So, I am going to pop back to here and claim that bounty, but that's a pretty good idea. That's right there. That's Elite Dangerous. I mean, that's a pretty stereotypical span of time playing it. That's what you're going to do. You're going to take some missions and run them back and forth. You're going to get in some dogfights, but you're going to mostly just spend a lot of time in transit. And that, I think, is something they really need to work on in the game. Other than that, I think it's a really compelling experience. Before I cut out here,
Frameshift drive charging.
Taylor, JJ, do you guys have any questions? Do you have any feedback you want to give on the title?
No, I think the main complaint is when you've stated that there is a lot of just waiting around while you're warping. I don't know. It seems like it takes a long time to earn any kind of ship upgrades in terms of like getting a different ship. And while that does make you feel like you've earned it,
3, 2,
it seems
1,
like
engage.
they're kind of stuck in this whole rinky-dink ship for quite a while,
Sure.
and that can be a bit of a dragging experience for some people.
For some players, yeah. And now I do want to be very clear about something. So most of the bounties I've collected tonight have been between 2,000 and 5,000. The last one that I collected before I logged on to do this was like 83,000, and it wasn't that much tougher. So it's really just like a luck of the draw situation. But the problem with that is you do find yourself in this position. It has been a long time, and I have not upgraded the ship. It's been about 10 hours, and I've got this hull about as kitted as I could. But your point is totally valid and totally accurate. JJ, any feedback before we sign off?
No, this actually might make me want to buy it more, seeing more of it being played. But I don't know. It's nice to see space games are back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, like, I think it's been a pretty compelling experience overall. It's what I like about it most is that it doesn't hold your hand. It's all about figuring out how to play the game, and then anything past that is skill. yeah, I hope you guys have found this instructive. For Taylor Tate and JJ Crass, my name is James Honeycutt, and we will see you guys at a later date. Take care of yourself.